What's going on, guys? Bruce Matson here, your host show, Metric Scout Fantasy Football. We had a big game last night between the Chiefs and the Chargers. We've had some fallout from that. The main thing I want to discuss right now is JuJu Smith-Schuster. I had him bumped up my rankings this week at wide receiver. I thought it was going to be Mahomes, money printer, go Burr. It kind of did, but it didn't really go to anybody, and I kind of failed on that one. But I really want to go back and look at the numbers on him and see what's happening here. So yesterday he caught 3 balls for 10 yards on the season, has 9 catches for 89 yards on the season, 2 games. 8% target share yesterday with 4 air yards. Not sexy. The previous week he had over a 20% target share. So it's giving us off and on scenarios here with the volume. A 15.1% target share on the season. 86 air yards on the season. So most of that's buoyed from week 1. 15.7% share of the air yards on the year. Again, those numbers are buoyed from the first week of the season. So just gauging 2 weeks of data here. If you're going off week 1 alone, you're like, man, let's start this guy. He's going to be in some matchups. You just go off the workload, and you know what? This could happen because the workload's eventually going to hit. Then you come to this week, the workload's not there. The air yards aren't there. The target share's not there. And this was a prime matchup. This was a different game script. It started off a little bit slow. The Chargers defense was able to get the Mahomes a little bit, made him have to move around a bit. But the volume was still in the second half of the game. You have to look at the game script, the game flow as well. The thing about JuJu, though, from what I see and what I see from Mahomes is Mahomes doesn't care. He's not going to lock in on one guy, and he's going to spread it around. JuJu is going to have his games, but you're not going to know which ones. And you can go money printer, go Burr on these type of games and throw him in your lineup, but he will have his time where he will produce. And it'll probably be the time when he's on everybody's bench. That's most likely when it's going to happen, and he's going to be a big headache this year. I just project him to be a headache for the rest of the season. I don't expect him to be a complete bust. I bet you he's going to be one of those players when you look back at the end of the season, you're like, okay, those are all right numbers. But in all reality, it was hard to start. In best ball, I bet he's going to be a good player to have. I bet he's going to be a great player to have in best ball because you don't have to worry about that nonsense. Yeah, those big games that he does have, if they happen, which I think there will be, mostly because of the Mahomes money printer go Burr, he'll have a few of those. You'll be able to cash in on those. But the claims that I didn't make, that he's second coming of Jesus Christ, the next Cooper Cup or whatever, those are not happening. Those are not happening. Mahomes don't care. He's not locking on to anybody. He'll lock on to Kelsey because Kelsey's an alpha. If there was an alpha here, he'd lock onto him. But if you just have good talent, decent talent, moderate talent, sucky talent, he's just going to spread the ball around. That's just what's going to happen here. Mahomes is a damn good quarterback. He doesn't need to lock on to anybody. He does not need to focus on anybody. If something's there or if something looks good on his reads, he's just going to go with it. He's going to see it. The game slows down with them. That's one thing I learned about Mahomes over these last 2 weeks. I knew about this. But this is now put the stone with Tyreek gone that he is not a guy that's going to lock in on somebody. He is operating off a flow, and this guy's in a flow state when he's throwing the ball around, and these targets will get spread around in these games. JuJu will get his in some of these contests. I feel good about that. As long as he's on the field, as long as he's healthy, he'll get his moments. You may not feel good starting him, and they may not be in the games that are projected to be good like this one. This was projected to be a good one. It did produce some fantasy producers. Justin Watson, old school dynasty favorite from a few years ago with the Bucks, getting it done. Looked good during the preseason. I'm happy for him. Maybe a stash in some leagues. I got him in some of my dynasty leagues as an old school stash that I didn't do anything with, but a guy you may want to think of on the waiver wire in dynasty. I would not think about him in redraft unless you're able to do something with him in best ball redraft in some of those leagues. Think about it in those regards. But back to JuJu. Overall, my synapses on him, or whatever you want to call it, for this video is that he'll have his moments this year. He's going to be a major head scratcher, probably be frustrating. Might even, when we look back at the end of the year, the stats might look okay, but it's going to be questionable or hard to start week to week with confidence, but you may be doing it anyways in some weeks because the matchup's going to look good. He's in a good offense, and he'll have a good game here and there, and your confidence will be restored, or you'll feel like you want to do it, and he's going to be frustrating, and that's just going to be the life with JuJu here in this offense. He's not completely dead. He's just not what he was a few years ago, which was a top 5 Dynasty Fantasy Football option. Those days are done. Those days are done. We're looking at maybe the Tony Ferguson of wide receivers here, where you get him out there. You're going to have your moments against Nate Diaz. You're going to have your moments against Chandler. And then all of a sudden, bam, you get choked out. Bam, you get smacked in the face. That's what you're going to get with JuJu right now. You're going to get a Tony Ferguson-like wide receiver in his career. That's what you got. That is my comparison. Tony Ferguson. And you know what? I love Tony Ferguson. Nothing against you. But JuJu Smith-Schuster, you got to know what you're getting. Fantasy asset-wise, he's okay, but he's not the second coming of Christ, like some people have been claiming on the internets. I want to thank you guys for watching the show. Make sure you drop your comments down below. Let me know what you think, because I'm also interested. There's a lot of thoughts going around. That's just what I got going on right now. Sometimes I go to bed, I wake up, and then I just got to spew it on camera. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Helps the channel. Helps you guys, because I'm dropping knowledge. I try to be as honest as possible, and I just share as much facts as I can find. But again, I want to thank you, and I'll catch you on the next vid.